Okay, welcome to the MachineMetrics webinar series. Today's webinar is entitled Fastenal Manufacturing's Analytics Journey with AWS Partner MachineMetrics. My name is Graham Immerman. I'm the Director of Marketing at MachineMetrics, and I'm joined here today by two outstanding guests, Matthew Nelson of MachineMetrics customer Fastenal Manufacturing, and Preet Virk of MachineMetrics partner AWS. But before we get started, just a few brief notes. Questions can be asked in the QA section of Zoom and will be answered in QA or live at the end of the presentation. So please don't hold back if you have any questions. You will receive access to the recording and slides used in this webinar post-webinar, so fear not. You will have access to everything that you see here today, and you can share it with anyone that you'd like. We'll also be having 10 drone winners that will be selected and announced via email, so keep your eye open for that. And who knows, maybe you get a nice MachineMetrics drone out of this whole thing. Our agenda for today is pretty simple. MachineMetrics, myself, I'm going to do a quick review of our platform, and then I'm going to pass the mic over to Matthew at Fastenal, who's going to review their case study. Story of digital transformation. Then we're going to hear from Preet from AWS on their take on industrial IoT and Industry 4.0 and cloud advantages. And then we'll have a brief Q&A section where we'll try to answer as many questions as we can in the allotted amount of time. So really, let's get started. So MachineMetrics is the industry's first AI-driven machine monitoring and predictive analytics platform for discrete manufacturers and machine builders. We consider ourselves the machine data component of the digital factory. was named Smart Manufacturing Solution of the Year for the past 2 years, and as well as being named Forbes Top 25 IoT Startups list in 2019. Right now, hundreds of manufacturers are using the MachineMetrics platform to measure and analyze the performance of thousands of machines across their global factories. Our solutions are providing these companies necessary real-time visibility into production, automatically recommending ways to improve performance, warning shop floor workers of pending problems, or even predicting maintenance events to reduce unplanned and costly outages. MachineMetrics really started to solve a problem. Most manufacturers are unable to use the data from their shop floor to drive continuous improvement. Most data is written on pieces of paper where they're thrown out at the end of the day, and whiteboards that get smudged as you walk by them, and they're all siloed off in places that make that data unusable. There are many different machine manufacturers. As you know, very few, if any, of plants has only one brand of machine. Many different machines also have different control systems and communication protocols, and machines are different vintages ranging from new to old, and they all speak different languages, and they all require different ways to connect. And thus it leads to this number that you see in front of you, which you may find shocking, which is that when MachineMetrics starts with a customer, this is the number that we tend to see, which is the average utilization rate of their machines. Thus, there is a huge disconnect between what's really going on the shop floor and what our customers believe is going on when they start working with MachineMetrics. So this problem about any machine, regardless of brand, age, make, and model. MachineMetrics connects, captures, and transforms that data to really a standard format through what we call an edge device, shown in this image here, that's plug and play with any modern machine. And our customers have the option of leveraging Ethernet, Wi-Fi, or cellular communication to enable that connection to the cloud. And we leverage all these various protocols, as well as for older machines, we have digital I/O and analog I/O hardware that can connect sensors to the I/Os and relays of machines. So we can even take an older machine and capture data necessary for real-time historical and even predictive analytics. This slide is really here to just show the architecture and ecosystem of our platform. This data from the shop floor is then pushed in a secure manner to our cloud infrastructure, which resides on AWS. Analytics, including ML and AI algorithms, can be applied both at the edge and in the cloud, really creating an opportunity for continuous value add and innovation for MachineMetrics, our customers, and our partner ecosystem. This data, our platform then feeds back to manufacturers and other consumers within the manufacturing lifecycle in ways that drive significant value, all the way from the shop floor to the C-suite, enabling what many people call digital transformation. Some of the ways that we drive value for our customers include operator touchscreens that allow adding human context to the machine data that we collect, production reports, allowing them to optimize cycle time standards, utilization reporting that allow our customers to both benchmark and baseline their machine utilization and capacity, downtime tracking that allows them to identify their top reasons for downtime and identify bottlenecks within their manufacturing processes, OEE performance, which you can integrate with any ERP system, as well as configurable notifications for virtually any piece of machine data, whether it's performance related or machine health related, that really supports companies who are looking to move towards a lights out manufacturing process. We like to call this transformation the analytics journey. What is happening on your shop floor? Why is it happening? What's likely to happen next? And really, what should you do about it? Our unique ability to connect easily to any piece of discrete equipment has allowed MachineMetrics' platform to quickly gain tremendous traction and aggregate what we believe is the most powerful global set of CNC machine performance data. And that allows our platform to provide the highest level of insight back to manufacturers, including accurate benchmarking of your equipment utilization, predictive analytics, and many other capabilities that no other platform has been able to provide out of the box. Soon, MachineMetrics algorithms will be able to predict almost any shop floor problem and implement solutions through automated workflows. But enough about us. And now I'd really like to turn the mic over to Matthew from Fastenal. Fastenal has been a MachineMetrics customer for over 2 years and has experienced some tremendous gains since their implementation. But like I said, why take it from me? Matthew's here to tell his own story. So take it away, Matthew.
Thank you very much, Graham. My name is Matthew Nelson, and I'm a manufacturing engineer for the Fastenal Company. I focus on process improvements within our Fastenal Manufacturing division. For those that aren't familiar with Fastenal Company, Fastenal started back in 1967 by a man named Bob Curlin. He and some of his friends got together and started distributing bolting, nuts and bolts from Winona, Minnesota, here in state headquartered here. Started out in a 1,000 square foot building. Their business plan was to dispense nuts and bolts via custom vending machines. But the idea proved to be a little bit ahead of their time. Several decades had passed before Fastenal finally got that popularized industrial vending. We now currently do a lot of that, and it's one of our main things for our Fastenal company is having vending machines on site at customers' locations. One of the interesting things to note is that we are definitely a global company. We are in 26 different locations globally as far as Fastenal Company goes. But I work for the Fastenal's division of manufacturing, Fastenal Manufacturing. We have 9 locations worldwide for manufacturing. Currently, originally, back in 1981, in our Winona facility, we started out with mainly modifying existing fasteners or simple bent parts. So now, 35 plus years later on, we have a total of 9 manufacturing facilities, including manufacturing in Asia and Europe. All of our facilities have a mixture of precision and non-precision machining. At the Winona, Minnesota facility, where I'm located, we are primarily a job shop manufacturing facility. The Winona, Minnesota facility is our largest precision machining, CNC-based machining facility. Other facilities specialize in particular types of fasteners. We produce parts within 4 diverse manufacturing divisions. Under precision machining, cardinal hot upset forging, stud bolting, and hollow chrome cold heading. Our customers range from oil and gas industry, government, automotive, aviation, industrial, construction, consumer products, and etc. Basically, if someone needs a bolt or a fastener, we can make it for them. We make a wide range of products for a large range of customers. We service the Fastenal stores as one option for helping their customers find the right part for the job. For more information, you can look at online at fastenal.com, and you can go and find our tab Custom Manufacturing to give you a little bit more information. So as you look at our slide here at a glance, this is our 2018, and it seems like every time we come out with a new one, we're always growing. If you have any other questions about this, you can go ahead and ask me, or get a hold of your local Fastenal branch. Now, let's get into why I'm here with MachineMetrics. Within this ever-growing space of manufacturing, we needed a way to track our uptime, downtimes, reasons why we're down. And within that, you can't fix problems without measuring the problems, and you really can't measure the problems without the proper tools. So when we were first looking at downtimes, it was kind of hard because we didn't know what we didn't know. So we thought we knew what we didn't know, but we were making assumptions. With MachineMetrics, we're not making any assumptions. The data coming out of the machines doesn't lie. We're able to track spindle time, up and down time, reasons why machine isn't running, operator's not at the machine, tooling changes, material issues. All of these type of problems has it so that the spindle isn't spinning. And we don't make money if the spindle isn't spinning. So here's a little bit of a list of why we needed a tool with MachineMetrics. As I already mentioned, track uptime, downtime. And tracking cycle time gets to be very important when you go from being a simple job shop, making simple parts, bent parts. But once you start getting into your high precision Swiss machining and other precision machining parts, cycle times can make or break a job. We need to really dial in exactly what our cycle times are. So if we're running slower, we have oversold our machine time. Profitability goes down and shipping becomes a rush. So if we've quoted a job to be something like a 30-second part on our Swiss machines, and it turns out it's a 60-second part, well, we are going to be behind on that job. Also, we're going to be losing money on that job because we have sold it at the incorrect amount of time. If we are running it faster than that 30-second time period, and say we're running it at 20 seconds, we have undersold our machine time, and we could have booked more jobs for a given period of time. So we really need to make sure we're utilizing our assets correctly in order to be able to get the most profitability out of those machines. Within that, a second piece is to justify added equipment. So we are frugal. Fastenal does not want to add equipment unless current equipment is being fully utilized. Tracking machine uptime and downtime allows us to see how well our equipment is being used. And perhaps we need to change some of our production habits. We're looking into doing some lights out operations, or perhaps if we are down during lunch breaks, well, maybe we need to make sure we've got operators around for those lunch breaks. So we take staggered lunch breaks, making sure everyone is covered. we're able to be more flexible than when you look at that data. Those little downtimes can turn into big downtimes. And so we don't have a plan. With having the real-time analytics, it's very important. When looking at our tablets, we've got 3 colors: green, orange, and red. Now, I know my operators want to make sure their stuff stays green at all times. Now, when it doesn't stay green and it turns to orange because they're behind, and then ultimately maybe down to red, which is the thing that our machinists want the least, it's very easy for them to look at the screens and see exactly where they're at for their OEE and be able to address that. And sometimes we've had problems where our machines are running slow and we're behind, and we didn't know it until after the job was done. Now, the problem with that is the job's done, and we can't fix that job any longer. We can maybe look forward to the next job and try and improve it. However, with 2,500 jobs cycling through our shop each month, it becomes a challenge that gets stacked on top of each other. So 2,500 jobs, some jobs happen better than others, and then you stack it to the next month and the next month, and you have this compiling issue. Being able to address it right at the source, right at the time of that problem, that's the best time to do it. Not a day later, not a week later, not a month later when you're looking at all your reporting. It's right then when it's happening, so you can fix it right then. So we're able to talk to be able to see immediately what is going on at the machine. One of the benefits of the MachineMetrics is the remote monitoring. Now, I sit here in Winona, but we've got machines hooked up to MachineMetrics in many different locations. And I'm able to sit at my desk on my phone or wherever I'm at and be able to log in and see exactly what's going on. Now, with over 2,600 branches throughout the US, Canada, Mexico, Europe, along with the 13 distribution centers, et cetera, we as a company realize remote monitoring and being able to check in on things is very important. We need to be able to access our data. Now, obviously, my manufacturing sites are not quite as large and as plentiful as Fastenal company, but the same idea is, it's the same idea where we need to be able to see what's going on. So it gets down to why MachineMetrics for Fastenal. So there's kind of 4 things: agile, scalable, solution-driven, and responsive. Now, the agile part, when we were first looking into getting a machine monitoring system, we talked to many different companies about what we do. Now, earlier I had mentioned that we do 2,500 jobs out of our Winona facility a month. Now, those jobs are typically different than the 2,500 jobs that we did the month before. So we are still a job shop, but we're a job shop at a very high rate. So we have some repeating work. I believe it's right now actually about 50% or maybe a little greater. But otherwise, we may manufacture a part today that we will never remanufacture again because it was for a special project for a customer, and it's a one-off. But we need a platform that's very agile to be able to handle that amount of work. Now, other companies that we talked to, when we first mentioned how many jobs we would be doing each month, they thought, ooh, that is too much. They were not willing to take on that amount of jobs. They would not be able to store that many. They would not be able to handle that many jobs. And so they were immediately disregarded at that point, because if it wasn't going to work at the start, it's really not going to work halfway through it. Or so we needed to be sure that we could tackle that many jobs. And when we talked to the MachineMetrics team, they said, oh yeah, no problem, we can handle that. And the scalability of MachineMetrics, we're able to easily add it to existing equipment. I do all of our own integrations at this point. I contact MachineMetrics people, get the correct equipment, the tablets and et cetera. They send it to me. I tell them what the IP addresses are, and I connect it to the machine. It's very simple. It doesn't take much time at all. And so it's easy to add machines. It's easy to remove them if you needed to, but you can deploy it very quickly. It's not this big, long process. Your initial integration takes a little bit because you're starting from scratch, but after you get up and going, it takes, I could probably integrate a machine in about less than a half hour if I needed to. And our initial integration took about a week, I believe, or less, now that I'm thinking about it a lot more. Now, the solution driven. Now, we first looking at MachineMetrics, and we needed a solution to be able to figure out our downtimes. And when talking with the MachineMetrics team, we told them what we were looking for, and they delivered it. We needed to be able to track our downtimes and be able to get into that minute detail. One of the things that within that solution drivenness and also responsive is when we first integrated, we were like, okay, we've got these 2,500 jobs. We can't load them all into your system by hand. And that's when we came up with the CSV upload into the machine for going from our ERP system into MachineMetrics website. And that's worked amazing for us. They also do ERP integrations. While that doesn't work for us because of our ERP system currently, I think that would be an amazing thing to have if you're able to do it with your own IT people. Being solution driven, they look for how to solve problems. And the responsiveness is kind of paired in there. When we were first getting integrated, and ever since, when I've got an issue, I can contact them and immediately I get responses back. The uploading of jobs into their website via CSV, that was a phone call that we made. Within the next day or so, it was done. It was that responsive. They really work hard at making sure that they are meeting the customer's needs and desires as much as possible. And that's one of the reasons why I believe that they are a good partner, because they are responsive. I've dealt with other customers or different vendors where you might send them an email and you don't hear anything back for a week. And pretty quick here, those vendors aren't going to be your vendors anymore. So taking a look at the solution here, we're kind of looking at it, we can look at our stuff at this slide here breaks it down as plant, division, corporate, but we see things at a very small scale, where it's actionable insight with real-time visibility there right at the machine, basically. We can get right there at that. And then you go to the division, and you buckle it out to look at maybe a cell of machines. And from there, you back it out one more time, and you see corporate, from the grand overview scale of how everything's working. So you can kind of use the information however you need to use it to be able to get all your insights. So as you can see here, we got our equipment installed. Like Graham mentioned, we've been using MachineMetrics now for over 2 years. We've got all of our tablets mounted right on the machine. The operators love the fact that they can touch the tablets, be able to do all of their things right there. We had previously tried a different machine monitoring system that used barcode scanners, and with limited success, because you never knew if your barcode scanner was actually reading. Sometimes it would double read it and it would throw a monkey wrench into it, and there just wasn't much support there either. And so having the tablet right there, showing you the numbers, exactly what's happening, is a big benefit. As you can see currently on that picture, the operator has a green screen. Excuse me. But in the background, you can see the television screen that we've got mounted. And you can see that there's some red up there. That's meaning a machine is behind. Now, Mike standing there, he's able to then walk over to those machine operators and see what they need. Perhaps the reason is we don't have material, or we're waiting to get some tooling. Maybe the operator went on break. This is an opportunity for our sales team, or our team leads, to be able to really see what's going on without having to be looking over everyone's shoulder all the time. He can look right on his desktop and see where his shop is at. I know Mike, that's pictured here, he was very skeptical of us putting this in at first, and so were his operators, thinking it's going to be Big Brother looking over their shoulder and just trying to nitpick at what they're doing. But instead, he's now come to find that it's an asset, that he's able to improve his cell, be able to improve his machinists, and the machinists also enjoy it because they know how they're performing on their jobs. Before, they would make the parts and ship it and never know how well they're doing. And it's always nice to give control to the person that is actually making the part and on the floor doing it. So with that, part of the solution here, and you can read this for yourself, but it allows our managers to track it at any time, be able to run reports to see where we need to do process improvements. We're able to, like I said before, engage our brains in a different way. If we have an issue with a job, we can address it immediately. We don't have to wait until later to do it. We don't have to be reactive, we can be proactive. So what are the results? We're able to leverage the data for immediate and actionable insight. We've improved availability, performance, and quality with real-time OEE. We've been able to look at our root cause analysis, investigate the data anytime, anyway, anytime, anywhere. And we're also able to optimize machine performance and uptime. We are definitely always looking into trying to improve our uptime. And it's very important to us to make sure that we are, so that we can service our customers better. This is a slide from back when we first implemented MachineMetrics. So we had, because that green screen and red screen and orange screen, our operators want to keep that screen green. And because of that, we have almost automatically increased our productivity boost. We were able to produce more parts. There's going to be, part of it is them wanting to make sure that their parts are running good and they're always green. But then we're also able to look at, okay, where is this job supposed to be at? Like we previously discussed with the quoting the job correctly. So we were able to take on more work and be able to work our stuff smarter. And I think that's where we are really winning with being, with having MachineMetrics, is being able to do this smarter.
Thanks, Matthew. That was awesome. We really appreciate you sharing your story with us. Our final guest today is Preet Virk of AWS. Preet is a solutions architect within AWS's industrial software team. And we're happy to have him share his insights on how manufacturers and software providers like us can leverage the power of AWS to accelerate their digital transformation. Take it away, Preet.
Hey, thanks, Graham. Thanks for passing me the baton. I'm Preet Virk. I'm partner solution architect working at AWS. So I work with the industrial software partners like MachineMetrics. And today I'm going to talk about AWS in manufacturing and what role can AWS play in your digital transformation working with partners like MachineMetrics. So it all started with the Industry 1.0 in 18th century when mechanical production was powered by water and steam. Then we moved on to Industry 2.0, where the mass production was based on division of labor and was powered by electrical energy. And in 1970s, we started seeing the evolution of electronics and IT for further automation of your production system. Today, we stand at Industry 4.0, which is a cyber physical production system. So what does it really mean? So what are the technical enablers of Industry 4.0? When we talk about Industry 4.0, people refer to autonomous robots. They expect simulation. They expect vertical and horizontal integration. We talk about industrial Internet of Things. It involves cybersecurity. It includes additive manufacturing, augmented reality, virtual reality, big data and analytics. And among all these enablers, cloud is the central innovation enabler across all disciplines and industries. So what sets AWS apart from other cloud providers? AWS security is pivotal to anything we do. We give you fine-grained control over the resources you own in the cloud using services like IAM. We encrypt the data in transit or while it is at rest using services like KMS. We have a portfolio of 165 plus services to support any kind of workload that you may think of. And we are constantly improving these services based on the customer feedback and adding more services to our portfolio. We have 1 million plus customers since we started in 2006. We have 18 geographically separated regions, which include 55 availability zones and 121 edge locations. AWS provides more AI services and features than any other cloud provider, and these AI services are integrated with other AWS services, helping customers build applications quickly. With help of our partners, we offer 3,800 plus offerings on Marketplace, and these offerings range from security solution to machine learning offerings, data analytics, IoT, migration solutions, etc. AWS is positioned highest in execution and furthest in vision within the leaders quadrant. So how can AWS help our partners like MachineMetrics and their customers like Fastenal? So AWS provides a global data and integration platform. Instead of having to invest heavily in data centers and servers before you know how you are going to use them, you can pay only when you consume these computing resources and pay only for how much you consume. So this essentially eliminates guessing on your infrastructure capacity need. When you make a capacity decision prior to deploying an application, you often end up either sitting on an expensive idle resource or dealing with limited capacity. With the cloud computing, these problems goes away. You can access as much or as little capacity as you need. You can scale up and scale down as required, only within few minutes notice. So this makes cloud really reliable. And you can also make use of multiple availability zones and spread your resources across these availability zones, rendering you really highly available infrastructure. Where if one of the availability zone, which is essentially a physically separated data center, goes down, let's say power supply went off, you still have other availability zones where your workload is running, and it essentially kind of renders a really highly available environment to you. So you enjoy increased agility. So in cloud computing environment, new IT resources are only click away, which means that you reduce time to make those resources available to your developers from weeks to just minutes. This results in a dramatic increase in agility for organizations, since the cost and time it takes to experiment and develop is significantly lower. So you can increase the ability to innovate. So you can easily deploy your application in multiple regions around the world in just few clicks. This means you can provide lower latency and better experience to your customers at minimal cost. By using cloud computing, you can achieve lower variable cost. You can get on your own, because usage from hundreds of thousands of customers is aggregated in the cloud providers such as AWS, and achieve higher economies of scale, which translate into lower pay-as-you-go prices. So essentially reducing your total cost of ownership. So partners like MachineMetrics can then pass on the savings to their customers like Fastenal. So you can make use of data analytics and machine learning services that AWS provide to make sense of your data and capture the knowledge. So essentially, AWS do the underlying heavy lifting and let you focus on your core areas, which can be processes, your employees, and your equipment. We take care of underlying undifferentiated heavy lifting and let you focus on your specialty and your niche. So how can our partners like MachineMetrics help you enable the digital transformation of your business working with AWS? So the digital transformation to smart, connected plant or product can be a very daunting task for any manufacturer. We provide a broad suite of services and marketplace solutions to help manufacturers securely connect their factories, equipment, and products together. As a preferred platform for ISVs like MachineMetrics and variety of other industrial partners, AWS help reduce risk of cloud adoption for manufacturing companies. The solution that MachineMetrics build allows you to move forward from fragmented, localized automation platforms to centralized, intelligent, global platform that enable digital transformation of your business. So our advanced analytics and machine learning tools allows MachineMetrics to build solutions like descriptive analytics of your operation to new predictive maintenance and quality models without large infrastructure or resource investment. And with these AWS managed computing, analytics, storage, and machine learning capabilities combined with our on-demand pricing model, partners like MachineMetrics can innovate quickly and scale economically over time. MachineMetrics use various data ingestion tools and database services that allow secure central storage of your data, regardless of the source. And then they can stitch it together to develop applications, tools, and insights. These insights leads to product and service innovation by allowing manufacturing customers like Fastenal to predict and proactively resolve issues in the field. This also allows MachineMetrics to offer the product as service and ensure delivery to their SLAs. This also allows customers like Fastenal to focus on their manufacturing processes, the simulation and generative design, rather than on managing storage and databases. And it all happens while bringing down the cost of computing and giving them horsepower they need. With that, I would like to hand over the control to Graham. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak in this webinar.
Thanks, Preet. That was great, and thanks for sharing all that with us. And now's the time of the presentation where we're going to take some of your questions. Many of you have been posting some within the QA section of Zoom, and we've had a bunch of other ones come in. So please don't be shy. If you do have questions, feel free to send them in now. And my teammate Matthew will be sharing some of those questions with us, and we'll be answering as many as we can.
Yeah, thanks, Graham, and thanks everyone who's dropped a few questions in so far. I do want to raise a few for Graham and others to answer live here. So just to get started, Ron submitted one. Can you provide some more details as to how your edge device communicates with various floor devices, controllers, HMIs, etc.? So Graham, I think you'll best be able to answer that. Can you chime in on edge connectivity?
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for teeing it up, Matt. So really what MachineMetrics does, we've developed, dozens of machine adapters. These are software adapters that run on our edge gateway device. And when we find, say, like a certain protocol, as you know, there's so many different types of HMIs and PLCs and controls, et cetera. So whether it's, a FANUC Focus or a MT Connect or, a Siemens, Heidenhain, Haas, you name it, type of control. We have software adapters that were designed specifically for those types of controls. And, really the way that the adapter works is that the control itself has a bunch of data on it, and our software adapter automatically maps all that data in a very quick and simple way. So when we plug in directly to that interface, all of those data points get mapped into the exact same data points within the MachineMetrics data architecture. So each machine, whether it's a Haas or a Siemens or a Heidenhain, whatever controlled machine, the data comes off in the exact same way. That allows us all those various pieces of equipment to be visualized in all the various ways that we do through that plug and play functionality. Because the edge also supports digital and analog I/O for machines that don't have standard connectivity options, we have a simple scripting language that's configurable in the web or our mobile application. You can essentially develop sophisticated logic to integrate even the most challenging equipment. We have all sorts of documentation and integration specialists that work with our customers to connect older equipment, or you can do it yourself, or we have field integrators that come on site. And we can also add any analog or digital sensor to this device, such as a temperature and vibration, pressure, power can be added to and using that scripting language. You can add that logic and remotely update the sensor connectivity right at the edge, and then view that real-time data that comes right off that control or PLC or sensor or I/O from wherever you have access to MachineMetrics. I hope I answered that question.
Yeah, I think you touched on a good bit there, Graham. And Ron, please, we'll be sure to follow up to make sure we got everything covered on your side. Next one for you, Dave was curious to know how we can provide access to the AWS raw data for ad hoc reporting. So can you touch on that one, Graham?
Yeah, that's a great question, Dave. And companies like yours, what MachineMetrics realized early on is that, any company that promises the ability to do absolutely everything for you, I don't trust. I mean that with my own software solutions as well. So I think what MachineMetrics is really focused on is hugely valuable out of the box functionality. We have dozens, even hundreds of out of the box reports, but if there's something that you want further, right? Whether you want MachineMetrics to empower your ERP system, or you'd like the data to be available for your central BI system, or like Tableau, or or Microsoft Dynamics, or whatever. We have a couple ways that we go about that, and we highly enable companies to do exactly what you're wanting to do. So we essentially, what we do is we support the ability to copy this data from into your own dedicated Postgres SQL data warehouse, so that your BI system can connect to it. And that schema for this production data, we can expose to you or to any customer that will allow that data to flow into any other system. And we see a lot of customers that want to do this because MachineMetrics, we consider ourselves that machine data component of the digital factory, but there's so many other data points that can drive huge value. Whether it's your quality system, or your CMMS, or like I said, your ERP. That the ability for these systems to like kind of Lego piece together in a really simple and easy manner, and have the data flow from one system to another, is really how you can empower building your own digital factory, and MachineMetrics as a part within it.
Excellent. Thanks, Graham. A couple others coming in from Catherine. The first was specific to a range of capabilities, looking at the ability to add prompts, operator identification, inspections for first piece, last piece, toolware, job numbers, and so on. I'll just quickly answer, Catherine, if there are specific use cases that you want to review, one of our team members would certainly be happy to look at your specific application, highlight the functionality that we can check off right out of the box. But as Graham and team have already mentioned, there are a lot of ways that we can continue to make the machine data component available to other MES type systems as well. For instance, quality systems that are tracking SPC, or your ERP that may have some more detailed job information. So I'll plan to follow up after the webinar. Graham, though, Catherine was also asking how we compare with competitors. Do you want to quickly chime in on just a couple key differentiators in the space?
Yeah, I mean, sure. Listen, I think that, I train our sales team to say that, we don't have any competitors. I think that, it'd be naive to say that machine monitoring is something new. I think that people have been monitoring machines since the 80s, maybe even before, probably, even decades before, just in different ways. But I think that, and you'll see within my slides that you said, now there's really two different methodologies. You have, these out of the box, really simple machine monitoring systems, some of which you'll see on that slide from earlier. What those products allow you to do is, you get some real-time visibility into what's going on, and solve some of the low-hanging fruit of machine monitoring, and that real-time visibility can provide. But what we saw the problem with many of those solutions with, once you gain that initial behavioral and analytic, what I call the descriptive phase of your analytics journey, the question I always go to is, what's next, right? And MachineMetrics provides the ability not to just have those kind of basic functionality focused on, the performance of your machine, but once we optimize your utilization of your equipment through, that real-time visibility and descriptive and diagnostic analytics, focusing on, optimizing job standards and machine utilization through, you know, all the various components of performance, then, you know, really you need to start looking at the availability and health of the machine. That's where condition monitoring and you know, limit-based notifications and alerts and preventative and predictive maintenance optimization becomes a huge component. And because we take on, you know, a lot of that work as well, I think that MachineMetrics ventures into space where really no other, you know, machine monitoring platform has ventured before. But on the other side of the spectrum, you have these industrial IoT platforms. You know, I'll leave them nameless for now, but you know the ones that I'm probably talking about, and you know, they promise the ability to do everything, right? And they give you this tabula rasa, this clean slate of you know, abilities. You can build anything you want, any functionality, any. And I think AWS actually takes a really good approach to this. Just, you know, a little plug for Pre here, which is that, you know, AWS doesn't necessarily want to build every tool for you. They consider more of like a buy and build approach, and that's why you know, they leverage partners like us. You know, why rebuild something that we do so well when you can Lego piece that together with other pieces of your digital factory? But where MachineMetrics has really been able to win out, even against some of the largest industrial IoT platforms in the world, is in that we can drive value very quickly and efficiently, and you don't necessarily have to build everything yourself, but we provide you that API and customization layer that will allow you to, if that's what you'd like. And I think that that's very important within when you're choosing industrial IoT platform to, you know, decide like what makes sense, you know, what's going to drive value for us today and into the future. Because if you don't get past those first 3 months, you know, even 6 months, most you know, industrial IoT projects get shut down, and that's why so many of them fail. So we like to think that we've kind of found this ultimate space between, you know, massive industrial IoT platforms and machine monitoring platforms to really solve the problem that's vertically integrated and incredibly focused for manufacturers, not necessarily for, you know, refineries or you know, moving trains. You know, there's IoT platforms for all those too, but you know, we really focus in the manufacturing space, and our vertical integration there, I think, sets us apart.
All right, thanks, Graham. Throw one more at you here, and you know, this one, is there functionality for cutting machines, to be more specific, plasma, water jet, etc., these Windows or PC-based console? Yes, via our edge device, range of connectivity options, like Graham mentioned before. Often these machine types might support MT Connect, OPC UA, other communication protocols that we can interpret via Ethernet connectivity. But at the very least, we can use the digital I/O kit to tie into specific relays or add different sensors, capture operational information, sheet count, in-cycle utilization, and more. But Graham, I'll pass it back to you. Feel free to expand on any of the questions that have been answered so far, or maybe any other highlights that you want to share.
You nailed that one there, Matt. And, you know, I would just leave everybody with this thought today, which is, you know, I think that when you start looking at, you know, the value of machine data, I think there's a much larger play here. And like we were showing earlier within this, there was a slide that we were showing, just really focused in on the consumers of data. And, you know, I always like to take a what's the next approach to how do we continue to drive value, and building that roadmap. It's so important. But you look at, you know, all the different ways that this machine data can help improve your business, right? You know, it's just starting at the, you know, the machine level, making sure that your performance is optimized, and we look at the health and optimization of your maintenance team. But then, you know, there's all sorts of other facets of your business that may be able to drive huge value with this data. You know, just an example, one of our customers came to us, and they have a large HR department, and because of MachineMetrics, you know, we have a ability to log which operator is on which machine and how well they perform, you know, through that, you know, descriptive, you know, and diagnostic analytics of their performance. You know, that HR department is going to, you know, build their own integration with Kronos, which is their people tracking software, and that's going to empower, you know, the digital transformation of their of their incentivization programs and understanding how well their people are performing, and it's going to save them huge amounts of money and time in that type of data, right? Then you look at ERP, right? And most ERPs, don't perform well because, they don't have good data in them. And MachineMetrics can easily empower, an ERP platform's digital transformation by, having, that API integration or even the CSV layer integration with that system. So there's, I just leave you with, there's many different consumers of the data that that machine data can really help improve. And we're just scratching the surface of some of those, but as you build your roadmap, think about some of these other ways. And, the first step really is just to start getting that data and start using it. And I like to think that we're here to help anybody do that in a really simple and fast way. The last thing I want to talk about today is just that our next webinar series, which will be next month, will feature some of our friends over at Whitley Consultants. And we're gonna review how MachineMetrics, for example, is a key toolbox in Whitley's even larger toolbox of how they help their customers drive decision making with machine data. It's called Turning Reactive Decisions into Proactive Solutions. It'll be on July 23rd. And we do hope that if you enjoyed today, that you join us at this webinar as well. We're very thankful to have everybody here. It was a great turnout. And of course, you will all receive the slides via email along with the recording of this webinar, so you can share that with everyone. And don't forget to sign up. At the end of this, you'll be redirected to a landing page where you can sign up for our next webinar. And thank you so much for your time.